The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Jesus said to the crowd, "They will seize and persecute you. They will hand you over to the synagogues and to prisons, and they will have you led before kings and governors because of my name. It will lead you to your giving testimony. Remember, you are not to prepare your defense beforehand, for I myself shall give you a wisdom in speaking, that all your adversaries will be powerless to resist or refute. You will even be handed over by parents, brothers, relatives, and friends, and they will put some of you to death. You will be hated by all because of my name, but not a hair on your head will be destroyed. By your perseverance, you will secure your lives." The Gospel of the Lord. They will seize and persecute you. They will hand you over to the synagogues and to prisons. They will have you led before kings and governors because of my name. It will lead to your giving testimony. When the Jesuit missionaries would preach the faith, be sent to foreign lands, they would always try to get to the king, because whatever tribe they went to, whatever land they went to, they wanted to go to the person who was in charge. They wanted to go preach the gospel to him so that he knew the truth of the gospel. And if he could convert the king, then the rest of the people would eventually follow. The king would make different laws. He would make laws for the kingdom that would be for the good of the kingdom, for the good of the people, for the good of their souls. So they would always try to get to the highest and most influential person in society. It's an effective way of preaching the gospel so that most people could hear it through him and through his authority, sanctifying his office, and then most people then could be saved. That is their method. There's two ways to get to the king. One is someone says, "Oh, this person is really important. We need to listen to what they have to say." So we try to work the channels to get into the presence of the king. Maybe you're doing something that everybody likes. Maybe you are someone like, for example, like Mother Teresa, who's doing good for those who are needy. Oh, this woman, she is really loving. She's caring. She's helping the poorest of the poor, right? So Mother Teresa was able to receive the Nobel Peace Prize for the whole world. So we can, in that sense, one could get to the king by doing good, doing works of mercy. And the world will be able to see that goodness. The other way, of course, to get to the king is by doing something bad, being really bad. And then they would be brought before the king, not because the king wanted to hear what they had to say, because they were such wonderful citizens of this wonderful country, but because they were terrible citizens of the terrible country that they were, in charge of. So by hook or by crook, they're going to get to the king. This is why St. Paul says that he is in chains. He says, "I'm writing from prison," or "I'm writing from chains." He said, but the gospel's not chained. And it's actually the chains that brought Paul before kings and governors. So the Jesuits were able to get before the king, whether they were doing good or, according to the king, they were doing bad. They were being persecuted. They will seize and persecute you, because you're not teaching the same thing that they're teaching. Your God is not the same as the God of the nation, the God of the king, or the God Caesar even. And so, one way or the other, the gospel is going to trickle to the top, can percolate to the top. It's going to get there, whether by all the good works of the missionaries caring for people, being well known. Who are these Jesuits? Who are these missionary priests? What are they saying? They call them before the king, or they don't want them there anymore. They want to kick them out. They put them in prisons. They have to have a trial. And then what do you have? A trial, you listen to them, and they get to be able to speak the gospel. And sometimes the king was converted. We have this story that happens in the history of the church. Clovis and Clotilda and all of France are converted because the king is converted. We see this is especially in the early church with the early apologists. St. Catherine of Alexandria, St. Justin Martyr. They're pulled before kings. And in the story of Catherine of Alexandria yesterday, there was 150 wise men that the king called upon, the oracles, kind of like the story of the book of Daniel that we hear today. He calls in all his wise men. He's like, hey, what do these things on the wall mean? Can somebody decipher this? Can someone tell me this? So the king brought 150 wise men to try to refute Catherine of Alexandria, who was brought before kings. And those 150 wise men heard her. She was brought in chains, but the gospel was not chained. Because those men heard her and they converted. 150 wise men of the kingdom converted, and then were all thrown into a fire and killed. 150 martyrs, boom, like that. Because of the testimony of one woman brought before kings and governors. Do not prepare a defense beforehand. I myself shall give you a wisdom in speaking, that all your adversaries will be powerless to resist or refute. The gospel will come before synagogues, prisons, kings, governors, whether they like it or not. It's going to get there. Whether they ask for the person to come and have a preacher of the court, like St. John Nepomuk, the confessor and the preacher of the court in Prague, or whether they bring that preacher in, the priest, the consecrated woman, in chains. One or the other. So we must not be afraid. All we must do is sit at the gates of wisdom. I myself shall give you a wisdom in speaking, that all your adversaries will be powerless to resist or refute. Let us focus on wisdom. Charity. Charity and wisdom are exchangeable. They're the same thing. Wisdom is this charity, the wisdom of God, the love of God. If we abide in that, sit at her gates daily, learning from wisdom, and God will give us the words to speak. However, the gospel is brought to those who are above us, whether willingly or unwillingly, wanted or wanting to punish, whatever it is. Let us live in that wisdom, that love, that charity with Jesus, asking him each day for the words to speak, the times we need it, in good times and in bad, in prosperity and adversity. That wisdom will always abide within us, within our hearts. Today's Mass is offered